Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is the 31st day of August. It is the year 2025 on the ancient moon calendar. It's 2026 on the ancient sun calendar. It is 5785 on the ancient Hebrew Israelite calendar. It's 10,066 on the ancient Yoruba calendar, and it's millions and millions and trillions of years on the Moorish calendar. Our calendar supersedes all others because no calendar existed until we created ours, and then others created them afterwards. We are outside of all time. There never was a time when we were not. Islam. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and according to the ancient Noahide laws. As stated by this Holy Congress, this is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the divine sovereign living justices and Aqquisitionne Pauline Ritchie, sovereign living justice, and my free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capit et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal, one and only natural living head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Moroccan Empire. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth-wide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. We are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, grantors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action. And our system is the trustee. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We do hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war. We are not at war. We are not at war. And we are all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, Nunc pro tunc Islam. We are so grateful that everyone is here. And today, just to start out, Islam nobility, thank you in the chat. We will, to start this Congress, with a great and grand happy solar return to one of our co-founders, who is also my biological brother. We came from the same Stargate, Saunders Bay. Today, August 31st, is his solar return. We celebrate him. Chief Justice and Co-Consular General Saunders Bay, we celebrate you. And we want you to know that we're excited about all that you're doing. And some may not know all the things that he's doing, but he steps big in the court, Islam. And for that, we are so grateful. We love you so much, Justice Saunders Bay. And your name is high and lifted up in this Congress because it is because of you and also our brother Sage Bay, who also came from the same Stargate as myself. And the three of us, along with many other Moors and the great Sheikh Tajiri Bay, came together and said, let's do this. Let's get our courts going. And for that, we're grateful. Justice Co-Consular General, and I'll call him that because that is who he really still is. It was because of his public affairs and public relations erudition that the Moorish American Consulate and the Moorish American Consular Court became widely known, because he has so much public affairs. You know, the first time anyone heard, most who know of us now, the first time that most heard of this arm of the consular courts and the government was through videos that Chalet Moore they put on the public record. He is a public relations genius. If you will to have something published, he's the one that can do it. He can get it out there. He has a connection with the people that is unmatched. And for that, we are grateful. We will always, always, always uplift his holy appellation and Grand Sheikh Tariq Bey and all of the Moors who have who started out with us, and we know you're still with us. All of them. Even there's one or two who may feel that they're not still with us, but you still are, because you still got the same blood. But I spoke with Chalet Moore this day, and he is doing very well. He was being celebrated even where he is, which is at our other sister's domicile at Georgia Territory, and she comes from the same Stargate as well. So we just will to just make it known that we celebrate you, Chalet Moore, and we will never forget. We will never forget. We will never forget Islam. And Chalet Moore, if you could see the chat, there are many Moors wishing you the same happy solar return and sending gratitude to you as well for your solar return today, Islam. With that being stated, I will to share the screen before we turn the Congress over to Empress Anagel Ma'at Bey, who is just brilliant and erudite where treasury and banking and things are concerned, and finance and record keeping. We'll be turning over, not turning over, but we will be yielding the table to her in just a moment. Yes, that is Chalet Moore Bey, founder of the Consular Court Restoration Development Team, which is how we started out. And we're just so grateful for you, Chalet Moore, Islam. And we have some other things that we will to bring forward, but at this time, we yield the table to Empress Anagel Ma'at Bey. Empress Anagel, are you present? Let me go ahead and open the tables.
Islam.
There you are, Islam, Empress. How are you today?
Oh, very well. Good day, Empress.
Are we on the same page with these turbans today, though? That's my question.
And lovely with it, yes.
Come on now. We didn't even plan that, but it's just beautiful. And of course, you're just dripping with beauty and honor. Islam. We yield the floor. Islam.
So, grand risings to the Congress. There was a lot of preparation to bring this presentment to you. I gave a lot of thought to making it measurable and visual, and resources that you'll be able to use and share. So I'm going to just jump right in. If we may share the screen so that I could bring up the records and the templates also for us to use.
Yes, indeed, Empress.
And I'm also going to turn off my screen I have some technical parts. So I have one screen that I'm looking at, and then another for my camera. So bear with me. I'm going to take off my camera just so I can see my screen easier. All right, Islam.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, Islam. And so I will to share a document for us to go over together. From the focus of what we were trying to create together, I thought it was wise to present all the information for us once. Let us go through it, observe the process, and then I could go over it again, and we could ask our questions and share our wisdom about setting up our spreadsheets. And so that was my thought. I've created a drive where I have put the step-by-step process into. We'll go over today. And then also I'm going to present it in the links in the chat, so you could open the link, open up the document, and follow along on the discussion that we'll be having, right? So here is the link. Give me one moment. Okay, so there's the link for the drive. The document is, and so I'm going to bring it up here. It's called Congress Records Process Writ Affidavit. So when you go into the drive, you'll be able to see it there, okay? And so let me know if everyone is able to locate, the document, so that we can work together as we go through the steps. So I will begin. Okay, so Congress Records Process Writ Affidavit, the Google Sheet Spreadsheet Account Books Process, and this is part 1. And I foresee that we will probably update this process as we go along. But here's our beginning initial steps for us to proceed on. All rise and stand and remain standing in perpetuity and in alignment with the ancient Noahide laws stated by this Holy Congress at ancient Canaan land, northeast of Maxim, North America. Cosmic progression of the sunrise era. This Article 3 court action is to state with clear, concise determination and action that we, the people, demonstrate our full and complete autonomy, authority, governance for our state. We are the sovereign living chief justices, fiduciaries, original creditors in proper persona, sur juris, in proper solo, in proper herdes, in captis diminto nullo, and in red ink. We are peace, we are at peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. All rights perfected at this time and all points in time, non pro tonque. And the energy is one day every wheel of industry is going to stop. And when they start up again, it will be in the Asiatics' favor. Prophet Noble Drelly, Ashe. So we have opened the Treasury and placed it in our hands to command. We are the head and not the tail. We will lend and not borrow. So from the first, I thought to give a visual of what we are creating. So we're creating a table, basically. That's what spreadsheets are. And everyone's used a table because we've all used calendars. Calendars are tables. So I will to focus on that we are creating rows and columns. And so the columns are, what is up and down, and the rows are what is horizontal. The key parts for us to pay attention to in tables are a set of facts systematically displayed, especially in columns, and a place for us to share nourishment. So, you know, we eat at tables as well, or we digest and take in nourishment at tables as well. Our rows are a horizontal line, and our columns are the vertical lines. So that's, you know, all you really need to keep in mind when you're creating our spreadsheets is the information in the column, and the columns have the headers and the titles. So here in this example here, I have cause account number, and that's a header or a title in my column. And then the rows are where the accounts will be. So each line is an account, each row is an account. And so that's the basics of how we will be presenting the information. In reflection, I will say that in the previous era, they didn't really present, you know, financial information in tables. It was only binary, so it was only, you know, a negative and a positive. It was either a debit or a credit, whereas tables show all the information about the account, and so and reflect the nature of remittance, where every time we, and I say quantitatively, pay for something, it returns to us manyfold, right? And so in our table, we're able to show how the resources are returned to us, right? So that was the key ideas about, you know, by definition, what we're creating is basically a table, and this is how our table looks, all right? And then each section of the row or the column has an intersection where there is a field, and in our field, we then put in the information that is part of our cause for action or our consular court Article 3 court action. So each line of our accounts is our perfected claim. And I thought to speak a little bit more about that, but I think that would be a wider discussion for the Congress to have about what is our perfected claim, and therefore what is all the header titles that are on our spreadsheet, because that is the indicators of the key information that goes with our claims. So we could discuss that further, but you know, I've laid out, you know, a beginning point for us to begin at, and then we could, you know, together work through anything else we need to add or anything we need to take away to present that information completely. Okay. All right. So these are the definitions, and we will go on from there. And here is the spreading up of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to read this page, and then I'm going to go and do the steps. Okay. So part 2 is setting up the spreadsheet. 1, set up a new Google account or sign into an account with a lot of available memory space. So from Gmail or from google.com, in the top right corner of the screen, select the drive. And so I've showed a little picture of it, but here we're going to go over here to my drive. And I hope, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, a little bit bigger, okay. And so, for example, this is my drive here, and it would be, you know, the Google Apps symbol here, and then drive is one of the icons or the symbols that you would click on. And upon clicking on it, then it would take you to drive. So if you haven't ever used this before, you would start in your Gmail or your Google accounts, and then come to these, I guess this little symbol here, and you click on drive, and it would bring you to your drive. And in your drive dashboard, it tells you how much memory you have available to use for the drive. So this one has, you know, lots of space. Islam?
I just wanted to clarify for everyone, and you did clarify this. I just want to make it clear that Empress Anagel is starting from the very beginning. So if you never had your open Google Drive and opened a spreadsheet or anything. She's showing you how to get that started so that you can start the record process, which is absolutely appropriate. We have to know from start to finish because people are at different levels of erudition where record keeping is concerned. And so what she's doing is showing you how to, when you open your computer and you go to Google, how to start there to begin constructing, at least opening the table and putting the headings for your bank account in there. Islam, I yield.
Islam. I thought it wise to start at the very beginning because not everyone's very technical. We come from different backgrounds, and so I thought begin at the beginning, and then everyone will be able to bring themselves to the place where they have their spreadsheet and then begin to use it. Right, Islam. Here is the table, and on the steps, I put a little picture of it. Okay, so I put some images in because I heard the comment about making it visual. So I put some images in, and so if you look for these images on your Google dashboard, you should be able to follow these steps fairly easily because the images will be there to give you cues. Okay, even if you can't find it right away, look at the picture and then look at your screen, and you should be able to locate it. All right. So then you select Drive, and in the new Drive, take the following actions. So open the new Google Sheets, open Sheets, give it an appellation and a type time range. For example, I put here Canaan Land, Federal Government Treasury Records, and then I put the date from 2025 to 2026. And I'll go over to my Drive here, and we'll go through the steps of that. So here I'm in my Drive. In this one I have a lot of folders, but imagine that it's empty. And you go to New, and we're going to go and create a new Google Sheet. And in this case, I'm doing a blank spreadsheet. Okay? So here we go. We click, and it opens it up for us. Right? Automatically, what comes up is, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Hold on, just give me a moment. A little bit bigger. Okay. What automatically comes up is the pre-built tables menu that's on the side. And just so you know, that's what I used, right? Like that was my approach to this, right? The one I chose, although please, try them out and see what suits you. But I chose inventory management and then an inventory vendor list. So that's what I began with. Just so you get it, that was my first starting point. Because when I looked at it, that's what I felt like that's what I was doing. I was doing an inventory list, right? And that was the basics of it. So it's been inserted, and I think I can close this down here. And so that is our first step. We're going to go back to our list here, just so we can see it. Oops. All right. And so that was this step where we made a blank spreadsheet, and then we selected the table template. So if the tables menu doesn't open automatically, go to Insert. Hold on just a moment. I can't read, it's too big. Hold on here. Go to Insert Pre-Built Tables, and then I selected, for example, Inventory Management, Inventory Vendor List, and here's a link to the video on Google Sheets Pre-Built Tables. So on YouTube, there's many videos about this. If you could put in your search requests, it's fairly easy to watch some step-by-step videos on how to do this step, even if it gets a little confusing for you at the beginning to start. Once you're there, though, then we will format the table. So format table to select the background and text colors, etc. Go to the Format, Table Formatting, and that's a drop-down menu. okay? And for example, you could put your header color green and the first row yellow and the alternate row blanc or white. So that is an option as well. So let's have a look here. So we're going to format. We're going to table formatting. It brings up a menu on the side, and then you have choices, basically, okay? And so I chose a blue green and a yellow to begin, okay? So as you see, the table template comes up with a lot of text information and information about like where to, you know, Google has many different apps that fit into their tables. So they have place apps and name apps where you could put in chips or linked information into it. I didn't really use anything that they presented. I, in fact, cleared all that formatting out of the table at the beginning because I wasn't sure how to use them all. So just so you know, that's how I approached it. And then I just began to, you know, as plain text format that way. For example, here where it says type 1, this is a data conversation, and I just made it simple. You know what I mean? I put it as plain text. You know, that's just how I did it. I just simplified it and took off all the formatting, because sometimes formatting, you know, is difficult to undo, especially if you're not sure how to use that part of the program yet, right? So that's how I approached it, okay? But just as in general information. But a lot of those specialty format options, if you put in a YouTube search around it, you will find someone explaining how to use it. So, you know, open yourself to using them as well, if you will to, right, as well. All right. So here's a basic format. And so that's our first sheet, just about setting up the spreadsheet. That's the basics. You have a spreadsheet, you have a template, and you have formatted the basics of your template, your table, okay? All right, so we go on to the second part of this, which is name the spreadsheet, sheets, and header titles. So name the table. Go to the left side, select the untitled spreadsheet, and type in your title. So here, we're at the top of our page, and we could put in accounts or any other title you will to state for what your spreadsheets will be. All right. So that is a very simple step. To name your sheet is as simple as well. So here, this is the information at the bottom part of your page here, and this one may be a little bit more difficult. You have to just click 3 times, and then you're able to put in a title, right? Appropriation. Okay, so you can put in the title for the sheet. Now, at this point, we have 3 sheets that we're working with. We're doing appropriations, allocation and remittances, and tributes. That's where I started. Needless to say, we could make many more, but at this point, this is what I presented in the template for us to begin with. Okay, and then so that's the sheets process of how you name, how to locate the name for your sheets, and how to title that. And then the next step is to name the sheets headers. So here we are with a long list, needless to say, right? Now I've put it here in text format for those who will to see it. It's the same information that is on my accounts. I just typed it out here just in case it's easier for people to read it and integrate that information here. So you can just copy it and paste it this way, right? Or you could go to the link that I presented, go to the top, and I'll show you how to do this. We're going to go to the first line, And when you select the first row where the titles are, it will change color. Okay, so when I didn't select it, it was white. I selected it, it turned blue. Okay, and then press Control C to copy. Right? Control C is copy, Control V is paste. It's really that simple. So this is the basics of that, and then I'm going to go over here and press Control V, and all that information is going to be transferred for that whole row. Okay, so that's a simple, transfer of information. If that is difficult for you to do, you can go to the notes and copy it here. Right? Copy. And let's see how it pastes in here. Needless to say, it may be a little sticky. So what I would do is left click and see if paste special, maybe an option. Hold on here. Let's try it out. Hold on. But hold on here. Let's see how it pastes. Yeah, it pastes down instead. Okay, so for example, we're going to Control V and undo that, and we could post it. We could paste it in one at a time if it doesn't go in easily by this method. If you get what I mean. So just paste them in one at a time if need be. It may be a little time consuming, but it will still get the task done. Okay. And so that is the information, how to put the headers on your columns. Okay, so there's the basics of that. And so we just went over step 3 here, name the sheet headers, Control C, and then put in the information by selecting the row, the first row where the heading information is. And then create a new sheet, which would be the next step for us here. So we have basically done the sheet that has to do with appropriations. I will to create another sheet for the allocations. I go to Insert, I go to Sheet, and a new sheet is created. And I'm going through the steps again of doing the template for the table. And so here we are. It's under Insert, Pre-Built Tables. And you would just go there again and select, if you get what we're doing here. We're going through the same first page again to create the new sheet in effect. Okay, so you have both of those steps in place now. Okay, so we're going to go back to our first one and continue with our information. So as you see, there's a lot of information here to input. Right, you're going to create 3 sheets. This is your appropriation sheet. Here's your allocation and remittance. The allocation and remittance includes 13 government ministries. And so on here, they're in bold. Okay? I feel that this is a discussion in Congress to speak to if we all put all 13 ministries on our records, on our congressional records, but I will open that to the table for us to discuss. But I provided the information here nonetheless. On the first one is the trust. So my trust is Sotep Jewels, for example, and I put it as one of the temple deductions as well. So and so that is probably making it 14, right? So that is the information that's presented here, okay? And then the sheet that has to do with tributes, in truth, is the one that I've worked the least amount on. I've been working on these 2 first, but I will to also link in the information about the tributes. And as I go through, it will expand as I become clear about what information needs to be on that record as well. So this will update in effect, okay? Okay, but let us keep on going. So now we're on number 4, setting up the folders. Now folders are key because the folders are where we keep our affidavits that we link into the spreadsheet, okay? The spreadsheet is basically like a vessel to hold all the information. It's like a record. It's like a library, right? It's like every shelf has books in it. So the folders are the places where you put your books in. So we open a folder and give it an appellation. So for example, let's have a look over here. I have a bunch of folders, and the folders are, and I'm going to read this here. Here's a suggestion, for example, of some folders to have: your Universal Commercial Code liens, the Internal Revenue levies and vouchers, General Surface Creditor bonds, the United States Thieves Perfect Clear Allodial titles, invoices, and the new one I created over the strong was canceled checks and instruments. So I now have a place to put all this information for each cause for action. All right, and so we create the folders in our drive that will be holding our affidavits in effect. Okay, so let's, for example, look at our commercial code liens, and let me choose one for us to work with. So let's look at this one. And so in your folder, when you begin, you'll just be filling your folder, in effect, your folders. So if I can read here, it says, open a folder to give it an appellation. Create a folder for each group of affidavits that you will be uploading your records. You will be uploading for your records. The folder appellation shall connect to the header title of the columns. So basically a folder will, like the folder for liens will hold, that will connect to the column where you put your liens in, obviously, right? Fill the folders. So select the folder, go to new, and then file upload, and upload the affidavits for your computer to the selected folder. Okay, so that is visible here in this example, in this little picture here. And so, for example, I could press new, file upload, and then I'm in my computer looking for a file, basically, okay? And then that will upload and be in my folder, all right? So that's the basics of that. As we've gone over the list of folders, and then share the folders. So to share the folders is a key step, because what is in our folders is what is going to be visible on our spreadsheet. So basically you need to share them. The basic answer is you need to share them, otherwise you're creating links to the folders, but when people press on it, they can't go in and see the document, right? So they need to be shareable. And then there's some thought definitely about then where you present that information, because then it's all open within your spreadsheet. It will be a closed system with all your shared files and your shared folders in them. So that is the awareness that goes with it. Islam.
And this is the area where I believe it was Empress Nabi who made it clear that there were some areas that she did not want others to see. She has, each one of us has the authority to close off any areas of our spreadsheet that we do not will for everyone to see unless they ask specifically for permission. This is where that is done. Islam, I yield.
Islam. I affirm. I affirm that. Originally, when I began, I thought the whole account, all the accounts, my whole spreadsheet was going to be something that was personal, right? Because this is our banking, right? And I had to realize I had to soften on that a little bit, because I realized that our trust is a public trust. Everyone's in our trust, and we're in trust together. So I had to rethink how I thought about what our trust actually is and what it's communicating. What is our court actions really doing for the land, and what our records are. So that was a growth. That was a growth period for me to come to
And also, Empress, we have to keep in mind that this is also bank-to-bank actions as well. So we're not just individual sovereigns. We're doing this collectively as the government, as the Treasury, as the banking system. So, you know, your bank has to, if there are more that are using your bank, Empress, and they will to do something with our bank here, then our bank and your bank, or our Treasury and your Treasury, have to be able to speak to each other as well. We have to be able to see what's in your spreadsheet, what you have, and that might be a higher level of access where only banks have access to see certain things in each of the tables or each of the, you know, spreadsheets. That the whole common public will not be able to see even. But we, as the banks, have to agree on that. This is the same level, and I won't say the same level as Jekyll Island, but what I will say is this is the meeting of the banks and the banking system today here, and the Treasury and the banking system. So we have to be able to agree on, okay, at the banking level, which is a higher level than just regular common banking that people do on a regular basis, what is it that we're going to allow each other to see in the tables? We have complete control, and individuals have complete control over their table and over their bank account and what can be seen when people are just clicking around on the table. Islam.
I affirm. Yes. And so here, Islam,
might I add also to what Empress Light was expressing, whether or not we would like to extend access to certain records. Also, the Linq, we have the ability also to share a link. We can also make that private as well. I just wanted to kind of bring that out. Islam, I you.
Islam, that is a very helpful perspective. That's true. We can make the links private as well. When we share, we could share specifically to someone's email or contact information and not just in general for everyone to view. I appreciate that. And that is actually the next visual cue here where, and I'm going to go to the spreadsheet and let us look at that. So here, let me see. So let me copy a link and let's go through the steps so we can see what it looks like. So for example, here is one of the liens I've done, and here is, so when you, in your folder, once you've placed the file in your folder, you right click on it and the option to, a menu comes up with a few options. So here is the share option. Now share has two parts to it. Share has a menu option and it has a copy link option as well. So we're going to do the share just so you can see what it looks like. And here is the name of the file. Here you could put in a specific email address of who you want to share it with. So if I was sharing with Empress Imani, I could put in her email address right here, and she was the only one who would have the access to this particular file, okay? Or you can go to general access and you have restricted or anyone with a link as an option. If you click anyone with a link, then you have three options of if they're a viewer, a commenter, or an editor. And an editor obviously could change your files. So editor is not something that I choose at any point because I know the affidavits I create are our mind to edit, right? But viewer is an option, and a commenter is an option if we're having an opportunity where we are sharing our tables with each other. We could put in comments and communicate with each other through that medium as well. Okay, so that's an option for us as we move forward. So this is where that is selected. So here we have viewer, and I have anyone with the link is a viewer, for example. And then I could press done, and because then I set these menu options, or I could just press copy link. So we're going to copy link just to go through the steps of this. So I'm going to copy link and then press done. And then I'm going to come over here to our spreadsheet and click on this particular cell or field. Now, needless to say, this information would go, where would it go? Here. The liens are not on this one, so I copied a different. So let me hold on. Let me see if I can correct that, just so we could have the clarity. So we could see it go in where it's supposed to go in. So copy here, and I'm going to change. What I did is I put in the headings for the allocation and remittance headings rather than the appropriations heading. So I'm just changing that over. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. And so I'm going to control paste here, right? And why am I doing that? Because here it has cause for action, invoice, debtor, onshore, and then it comes over to lien here. So in this column is where I want to put my liens. I'm going to go to format and change it to plain text. And hopefully that will take off the format. See if that works. Well, see, give it a moment. And I'm going to go back over here to my file again. Go to share and just press copy link this time. And then go to the spreadsheet and put it in here. Just select the field that I will it to be in, and then that's now selected. And then I'm going to go up to the function bar. So the function bar is up here, and you could type in your information here. This is actually the best place to actually put in the data, if you get what I'm saying. You select the field, but when I type, this is where I type. So here, I'm going to put a Control V and paste it. And I pasted the URL or the link there, okay? So when that link is pasted, you have to go to another field and deselect it. And then come back to it, and when you hover over it, it will give you the option of leaving it as a link or making it a chip. Now, I've been making everything a chip on this, and so it states that the name of the affidavit here, and what I could do is I could click on it, and it will open it up in a new window, right? The affidavit. So I'm enjoying the chips. I love the technology. It's great. So that's what that is, and that's the steps to do that. So basically, you have to put the copied link in the place where you put the functions in at the top of the screen underneath the menu options here, and that's where you put that information in. And then when you paste it in, then you have the option to see the menu that turns it into a chip. Okay. And then when you look at it here now it's written up as a chip. So it's just the title for this particular PDF or this affidavit. All right. So that's that step. And that is part of, setting up our folders and then linking our documents from our folders into our spreadsheet. Okay. And this is the most technical part of it. That's how I did it. I Googled it. That's how I did it. But the other part that goes with it is that, so other information you could just type in. So if I had a number, I could just put the number in, because this is the place, the functions line is actually where you're typing in the information, okay? And if you think about that, you just have to select the field or the cell you want it to be in, and then that's where you would type in your information, okay? Okay, so that's the basics of how the folders and the information in the folders connect to your spreadsheet. All right, so that was another page. Islam.
I have a question. When you shared the information initially, the files and spreadsheets and such, you have certain you say cells like H or G, the whole line. It was unable to be edited, but you had other lines, the other alphabet, able to be edited. How did you get that to function like that?
So some were editable. What do you mean by you're able to edit it? What do you mean by that?
When you shared the spreadsheet, you had able to edit the heading, and you was able to edit like certain cells in the whole row. But then when you got to certain ones, you was unable to view or edit. How was you able to do that? Remember, because I sent you an email asking if you could make it so I could edit that part, and you went back and you made it so I could edit it.
Yes, I do get. I understand the question now. It has to do with the folders. It's your folders that control that. So, for example, it's the folders, because if the folders, like for example, here let's look at this one for example. So this folder, let's go back to my drive and say internal revenue levies. So it has this little symbol of a person on the folder, which is saying that it's being shared right now. So if I go to that folder, so I click on it and it takes me to the folder, here there's a little drop down menu, and you could change the share options on that. So, for example, I could say here it's been restricted, and that closes off the folder completely. And so although anyone visiting my account, the spreadsheet could see the files, if you get what I mean, they can see everything here, but when they click on it, they're not able to actually look at the document, because it's the share option that controls that. So let's have a look at the levy for example.
I remember now. So also
is closed now. Well, it's open to me because I'm the one who created it, but anybody else who clicked on it right now, they would not be able to go into the levies.
Correct. That's correct. And when you were talking about creating files and things, I was thinking about this before, because people were saying how they got to go back, scan all their documents, make it one document, that part. But however, if you go and you share all your files, let's say you go into Drive and you make a folder, and let's say it was a specific court action that you had done, and you have multiple affidavits and court action documents just for one court action, and then you count them and such. You can create a file folder for that specific one court action, and then share the link like you usually do on the spreadsheet. And then when they click that link that you have on your spreadsheet, it'll go to that that Google Drive file, and so you don't have to spend all that time and energy, if you don't want to rescan all those affidavits and such. You can just neatly put them all in one file and then share the files on your sheets. You mentioned it kind of sort of earlier, but it's different from them sharing, like, because you sound like you were saying to me he was creating a whole file folder for all your affidavits going down the column. But if you want to just and have all your affidavits in that one folder, and then you would go and share each individual thing, however you so choose, and just lock that in one folder if you don't see it. However, like I said, if you have one court action and you have multiple files for that court action, you create a file just for that court action, label it, and then you share the link within that file cell, and then you have all your affidavits and such in that one cell, and then you can continue down in your normal, however you want, going down that row of cells, creating a whole other file. You can put multiple files to share the file folder, such so. Am I making sense?
Yes, I love it. I love it. No,
okay.
You're speaking exactly the language of what it is. I love it. It is exactly like that. Yes. Early on for me, I started making affidavits individually, and then I was like, no, this is not going to work. And I would make a file of all the affidavits for that cause for action streaming together. And so, I'd have, files of like 40-page, documents. And everyone, I feel that each one of us has our own system of how we have organized it. And however you will to present that, if you will to present it as a file, if you will to present it as a folder with all the affidavits that are connected to that cause for action or to that account, it is your will to do so. For me, I created layers of it. So I have a cause for action 1, I have a cause for action 2, I have a cause for action 3, because that's how I organized it when I was, going through with that particular account. But I know that each one of us has our own way of how do I say, of being our court. This is our court action and how we organize our court actions. So please create it the way you need it to be. Craft it, if that makes sense. It's for us to craft it for our usage. You know what I mean? Because we've already done the work that goes with it. It's now time to record it, to map it, to present it. Islam.
In the interest of looking forward to where all of this is going, if we may make a suggestion that we stay as close as possible to what Empress Anagel has done here in terms of the mapping, because where your records are concerned, where all of our records are concerned, we each have to be able to, at some point, hand the control of those records to our secretaries, and they should be able to easily follow along with what we've done because everything is in a particular order. So we want to stay as close together in how we format this as what Empress Anagel has presented here, because this is going to be the basic format, and it's also going to be how our secretaries are trained on assisting in governing the records, because ultimately our records are the foundational records, but there are going to be other depositors whose records will emanate from what we're doing. So we have to look at it keep it as simple and organized as Empress Anagel has presented it now, as the basic format for the foundation of all the banks at all the territories. Islam, I yield.
Islam, I affirm. I wasn't changing nothing that she said. However, I was just adding unto as far as instead of putting it on your computer drive, put on your Google Drive. And let's say, like I said, if you have more than one affidavit support action, you don't necessarily need to rescan all. Because I know you mentioned you need to go scan all your documents again because you have them all over the place in paperwork, and you want to make them one document continuous with a scan. And my thing is, if you don't necessarily have all the time to do that, you can take all your files for that one court action, put them in a file on your Google Drive, drag and drop them into a file, and then copy the links from that particular Google file and just put them into the same Google sheet. So you don't have to scan all those things again. That's all I was saying. I didn't change anything she was saying. I just was making a little easier.
So we weren't directing that at you. That was just for general purposes.
All right.
That was not personal. It was for everyone to know that in looking forward, we have to be able to delegate this whole process to 3 or 4 beneath us in terms of their title of their office. So secretaries, whoever, ministers, administrators, let's be prepared to do that and have it so that they have only a few places to go, just like Empress Anagel stated. She has all her liens in one folder. So ultimately, in her documentation, she only had 6 or 7 major folders that everything was coming from. So if I were taking over her the responsibility of her records because she elevated to regional record keeping, then I would be able to easily find the source of the information and not have to keep calling her and saying, well, what file is this in and where did that come from? And that's what I was saying. And that's a general rule in programming. It's a general programming rule, and that's for everybody. That's not directed at anyone in particular. Islam.
Nobility. Islam.
Yes. Hello, Congress. I was just listening to what the Empress was saying, and I thought she was just implying that if there was a general template, that a blank template, not with Anagel's personal or her information in it, but a blank template that we could all use and insert our information, because I didn't take Anagel's processes and I didn't have to copy, paste, and recreate each document separately. And I think that's what the Empress was saying. Is there a blank template that we all can have access to? So all we have to do is plug and play our information, put in our information rather than trying to copy, paste, recreate each document for certain things. That's what I thought he was trying to ask. Might not express it as simple as that. But I know I've been trying to recreate the documents, and you have to take each one, because no one has access to Anagel's, her documents to edit. So you would have to definitely copy and paste and recreate each document to then utilize it for what you need for to recreate your spreadsheet. But if there was a template with each one of these type of instruments on it that was a blank template that we could all get, and we would all be on the same page, and we'd all be able to add in to our individual situation, I think that's what the Empress was trying to express. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I was getting from what she was asking. Islam.
Gratitude, nobility. We appreciate that thought. So this in preparation for this presentment, I thought a lot about what is our perfected claim, and what are the steps that make it up. When I began with the 40 affidavits, and so that is how I began the perfected claim, following from the presentment that what Empress Light has presented to us. It has grown and evolved as I have claimed more offices, and my jurisdiction has grown, and my knowledge of my jurisdiction has grown. Now it's very streamlined, if you get what I mean. At this point, how do I say, the other affidavits that I create, I would say would be part of my allocation and remittance account sheet. So everything else that I would make, so this is the baseline stuff, but everything else I would create regarding this account will show up as allocation and remittance. And I trust that today I could share some of what I was creating this past strong, because I've seen the movement of what it means when you put this baseline foundation in place. Then you can build on it. But I do agree with what Matriarch Light says, is that we do need to keep the baseline allocations sheet for the account as standardized. It may be that word as in the same way, similar, so that it is consistent for all of our accounts records, right? And I affirm that, because when we get to the allocation and the remittance stage, we have choices. We could send a check, we could send a voucher, and so all the different variations are open to us. But at this appropriations state, it should still be all the same information for the perfected claim of nationalizing these resources. Yes, ma'am.
Empress, if I may also, in response to his question was if there was a template, but Nobility, Empress Anagel answered that at the beginning. That was one of the first processes that she answered at the beginning with the sheet that she has given. The sheet that says to take the first row of categories and copy that first onto a brand new blank sheet. Just take that first row and copy it. That is the template. Because everything else that you're going to put in there is going to be your own record. Islam, I yield.
Thank you.
Islam.
And Nobility, if you will, for me to read one, I could read one across so that we could see what that is. So on the appropriations, let's do my first account. And so it is the cause for action serial number. So every time I do a cause for action, I designate a serial number for that cause for action. And so that is our court action number, and I put that in first because our records are the original records, right? So, this is the record, right? And so this number is designated here. Then we go on to the invoice for the Universal Commercial Code lien. And so that was what I was sharing on my first day of presentment, just trying to refine what was the key information that needs to be on the invoice. On the invoice and the remittance, that was key information that needs to be stated there. And we could review it. Let's review it at the end, and let's continue. So that is the invoice for the Universal Commercial Code lien, right? And then we list who the debtor is. And this is key because in the previous era, by the capitalizing everyone's name was one of the ways that the accounts were created and where capitalization and the fraud was done. So one of the things that we're doing is correcting that. So as you see, the debtors listed, capital letter for the first word and lowercase for the rest. I made a decision not to do them all lowercase letters because this is commerce, right? But that was a very key element, and one of the things that our accounts are doing. We're nationalizing the resource by doing this as well, right? And then the at-land onshore location is confidently stated here with no abbreviations. And then the United States Post Office number. So when we do our court actions, the post office system is a big part of, notifying and sealing the court action energy by the number that has been received and the contract per se that is put in place by their receipt of the post office action. So the number here is key for us there. And then we go on to the lien remittance amount. So the lien amount is 100 million consistently, and I just kept it at that amount for all the court action liens because they're easy for our accounts to keep track of. But this is a remittance amount. So these are resources that are going to come back to us, and so I've put it as a lien remittance amount, right? The employer identification number is the account number that is for the debtor here, and that we have claimed and restated in the levy process, right? Or a levy part of the process. And in my case, when I wasn't able to find the identifying number for the corporation, I used the 2025923, which is the employer identification number for the United States Corporation Company, parent company. So I just took the parent company number and put it in there when I wasn't able to locate specifically the number for that corporation. So that was my response at the very beginning. That's where I began. Partly because I was new to it and wasn't that skilled at researching that information and locating that information, so I had to grow a little bit there. So my earlier liens, this was the only number I used, Islam, right? And it works well, right? Islam. And then it goes on to the Article 3 cause for action. So this is the affidavits where I have my full package here, and it begins with a lien and has a notification of acceptance affidavit, and it lists all the debtors and has the command to appear and command to arrest, because at that time that's where I began, and then any other affidavits that went with it. But the notification for acceptance affidavit is known with every single package that I've placed here, because it is for my record that it has been received, and I have the certificate that it was received as well. So that's in these records. If not in one of them, it's in one of the 3 records that I have listed here. Okay, and then is the levy. And so in more recent times, my levies have been connected to the travel and transportation cancellation process that we have been issuing on the land at this time, canceling all presumption of debt. And so this has okay, so let me show you, just so you can see, sorry. And here is the affidavit for for the cancellation of Bill's law, as well as the cancellation itself, and then the actual bond that I canceled, and I just scanned it into the computer and added it to the records, so that I don't have to worry about this particular record again. It could go into my filing somewhere now because it's been scanned in and it's done, if you get what I'm saying. And for me, that made it easier. It was time consuming at the front end, but now that record is created, I don't need to revisit it again. It's on the public record and it's complete, right? And then I had an affidavit here, a writ of mandamus and restitutio, just clearly stating, what went with this cancellation, and put some commands in place that went with that, right? And then from there.
Can you hold on for a second? What was that blue seal on the top right-hand corner? What was that?
Just here?
Yeah.
The internal revenue?
No. What's the left? The right-hand side. You can scroll down because it was in the box, the square too. Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Here?
No. Nope. Keep going.
Keep going? Okay.
Yeah. Keep going.
Do you see it? All right. Okay.
Not yet. It's coming soon, I think. Keep going.
Oh, here. Okay.
No.
I think you should go backwards.
Okay, let me go to the top.
I think it was your public notary seal.
Oh, here.
Right there.
Yes.
Right there. That one right there. What's that one?
I'm the court. Clearly, I'm the court. So I'm Cancellationne Supreme Court. And so, because I'm the court, I created a seal, right? And I seal, and therefore everything I place on the public record is court, clerk, office. I'm recording. I'm the court. Yes.
And here we would call that a notary, which is it's higher than even a court clerk. Is the notary, the public notary. That's Empress. I just must say your work is stellar, and powerful.
Is this particular energy came from Noble Howard? Yes, and the habeas. That's right. I was like the habeas corpus affidavit. When I received that, as I was going through the process of doing the quo warranto, yes. That was so helpful. It was just like it opened it up. I was like, because I was rebutting the fraud of the fake actors and their court, their the subjects in the office of and so this particular energy came forward. Of course, I'm the court. Here's my seal, and let's move forward from here. Islam.
Wow. I just love it. Wow.
Yes. Right, so this is the court seal, and so I create a court seal, and then so here's the levy. So the levies went with this process here, and so the levy, was four pages, and so that went from there. And so for example, this is a view of all the record in one place. So this was the levy process for me, if you get what I'm saying. This is all the information in one place, and then at the bottom was the notification of acceptance, and I believe in this one I also had the return receipts. I scanned them in, put them in. It's done. You get it? It's finished. Right? It's sealed off. So from there,
you are demonstrating a perfected claim. By the way, you're demonstrating a perfected claim. Islam.
Yes.
From our perspective, but of course the Congress will decide that. But from our perspective, you got everything.
Yes, Islam. That was Islam nobility. Islam nobility?
No, I was just saying I affirm what Empress Light was saying. Islam.
Gratitude, Islam.
Islam.
So here, Islam.
May I see a copy of that gold receipt? Will you scroll down? Up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
there we go. Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yes. Right. So, and of course they go with every single notification of acceptance, right? Like every single one, right?
Wow.
So and it's written in right here, and then it goes. It's part of it, right? So every single.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just wanting to know, was that the updated gold receipt? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know if it's updated one, but it's the one I felt wet with everything. Like this particular energy, I was like, yes. You know what I mean? This was the nobility. I was like, yep. It goes with every single one, for me at least. So
well, I love what I'm looking at. All the information is there. I mean, this is just fabulous. It's like nothing's left out. So if you have a question, just look at the gold receipt. Everything is there. The AA 222141, all of it. It's just there.
Yep.
No questions unanswered.
Who can tell you no when you present this well? Who can say no to you?
Exactly. Look at it. Islam. Oh,
yeah.
Empress Amani, I affirm what you're saying.
Islam.
Yeah. It's our records, right? Our records. Yes, it's our records that are the original records, the official records. Islam, right? So, for example, and so as you saw, this was 29 pages, right? So for me, this is a template for me. I could go into Google and just change the account number information and the name of the debtor and just make another one, because it's just a form for me. Everything else basically stay the same. The only ones that take a little bit of time is the levies, because how I input the information here is different than just typing it in. That just takes a little bit more time for me. But I'm happily learning how to streamline. Like I'm just happily learning how to streamline so that things get easier for me every step along the way, right? And so we are now clearing, this presumption of debt and moving everything into credit for us. That's what this energy is, right? So this is
also, Empress and Moors, with every return receipt that she has, that's also another account that money is going into by way of the post office. So she's still reaping benefits everywhere by properly recording everything. She's got resources here. If she ever needed to pull from the post office to bring something over from another place, she already has the credits right there. Because everything that she sent through the post office, that's another cha-ching. It rings up because everything is insured through the post office that way. So record keeping is the wealth. Islam.
Can you go back to the 1096 form, please?
Islam. Oh.
Yes.
All right, because I wanted to see something.
Yep.
There we go. So when you have it there for official use only, what's those numbers in the box?
So that is the filer's identification number, and in this case, it's the the restated employer identification number for the debtor. So in this case, this debtor here in Toronto, I didn't know, they're in Canadian land, I didn't know what their identification number is. So that has been, a part. So I put in the United States corporation company employer identification number. So this is the big number, right? That is the parent company for everything else. So that's what I put in here, and so that's what is listed here. And I envision that this form is useful because the Internal Revenue System is a very computer-oriented system. Like it's like it's taking forms, sending it through a machine, and collating information. It's just a bunch of forms. So I kept this form for that reason, because I thought it would assist the system to read the information. Right? That's how I envisioned it.
All righty. Because
although it's not strictly necessary, but that's how I thought about it.
All right, it's Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Islam. This is Justise Anagel, and I have a question. It's not necessarily a question for the Congress. Let me just say it like that. So, on these companies where the EIN numbers, the tax numbers, are not easy to locate. So this is a question, really. What I've been doing, some of them I'm able to locate, some of them, no, I haven't. And initially, I was using this U.S. corporation company, EIN. But then I was looking, as I looked at streamlining bond numbers and levies and those types of things, so I was able to locate company numbers. So I was able to locate a number which that company number then is going to link back to the tax registration number which we have here. So I changed that in documentation to match the bond, rather than having a levy number here and then a bond number here. And so I'm just, it's a question really. Ultimately, will those things come together, which they ought to, or ought I leave the United States Corporation Company on the levy and then the number on the bond? And I mean, yes, in my records, they'll all be together. What's your suggestion in that regard? Because maybe I'm making extra work for myself.
Islam, if I may.
I yield.
Islam.
Mrs. Anagel.
Islam. I yield.
Okay. I was going to say, if you had something that you will to say with regard to that, knowing what we know about systems, we know that a company number is not just a random number. It's a number that is assigned to that company when they incorporate it.
Exactly.
And that's always going to be under 002025923, which is what Empress Anagel has there on the screen also, which is the overarching number for all companies.
Right, and I recognize
that,
yes.
Empress, for your records, Empress Shasha, it is actually wise to put those company numbers in your record keeping.
That's what I've been doing. Okay, so...
Yes.
So now
you made the right decision.
I have. So some of the levies I had already done. That I have the return receipt, the green card or notification that they were actually received. So those ones have already gone, but the bond I have put the new number on. But I decided to update in my records. So what you're saying is just update them in the records anyway, because that green card still applies to this record.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because I'm finding that otherwise I'm going to have 600 bonds with the same number. So actually I'm not. No. And then one other thing, if I may, and it's related, but it's the post office piece. So the return receipt is itself money, but the receipt of the going out is also money. Is that not the truth? So even if I don't receive back the green card, the receipt that it went out is still money. So
that's still the money. That's still an account.
I wanted to just, hello, am I loaded? My goodness.
You're loaded,
Wow.
I yield.
Islam?
Yes. Thank you.
Gratitude.
Islam?
Islam.
I was going to ask Empress, Empress Anagel, what was that number? 0025?
It's 2025923.
Okay, repeat again, you went out.
So I put two zeros in the front.
Okay.
And then 2025923.
Got it. Thank you, Islam. Gratitude.
You're welcome. Gratitude. I appreciate what Empress Sasha was sharing, because I just began to, it just opened up for me. So I just begin to see the parent companies and the banking associations that are the parent companies to corporations that are, I guess, at a lower tier or a lower level in the corporation, jurisdiction or area. And so for me, I've only began to see parent companies, and my liens have started to change because of that, if you get what I mean, because then I could say, you're all doing business as your parent company. And so the liens are just really for one debtor, even though there's a whole bunch of other corporations that are just underneath that. And so my liens have changed a little bit because of that. So I appreciate the opportunity right now to just amend our records. Like when I get new information, I just put it in and just amend the record and keep on going, because we are the record, right? And ours is the first record. So that's how I've been going forward so far.
Islam. Was that not Empress Sasha that had that question about the number?
Yes.
I think that was her. Okay. So I just wanted to state that is the same number that's on the creditor bond.
No,
that's
I'm
the same number.
That was the first bond, the United States Corporation Company bond. That's the number that was on that. So my thing was, I'm aware of that. But what I was speaking to, as Empress Anagel was stating, the tax numbers for many of the companies at this territory are hard to locate. And so she was, she stated that she uses that. But what I was breaking it down a little further, simply because I will to have the same number across the board with the levies and the bonds. And so from a records purpose, that bond or that number then is that account. That's an account. So everything then is uniform. So that was really the question or the statement. And so I yield.
Islam, that is a good question. Because when I look at and when I think about it, so if we're looking for the employer identification number and we can't find it, or if we do find it, and then it's on the lien, but it's not, we don't put it on the creditor bond, but we have it on the lien. So then that still would be across the board, if I'm not mistaken, because we did find the employer identification number for the lien. Now, if we didn't find it at all, period, then yes, now I get it, why we would use, why we would actually use the number that's being used on the creditor bond. We would just simply use that because there's no other number.
Well, no, and that's where, and we're all free to do as we will. But what I was stating is that I was able to locate a company number. Now, that company number, when you understand that company number is assigned to that company, but that's also assigned to the TRN number, the tax registration number, and any other national insurance or anything that it has to do with that company. So it made more sense in my mind to use that for the bond number and everything else, because then that particular account has its own number, which then is easier to locate, even as I understand that every company, every corporation is under the parent, which was the United States Corporation Company.
Islam, I stand corrected. I see now what it is you're mentioning, and I think that can also go for and hopefully I'm not confusing anyone, the Duns and Bradstreet number, because sometimes it depends on whether or not it's the parent company or if you have the sister company following, and then sometimes it depends on the department, and everything begins to be broken down, and then they have a different number for this particular happening and this other thing that's going on. So yes, I get it now that yes, all the numbers are not going to be the same. Islam, I yield.
Islam.
You know, our research is a big part of what we do, you know, and so here's a demonstration for the Toronto Dominion Bank Corporation, and I found a whole bunch of account numbers, as you see, and I just put them at the bottom here listed because they have a tax identification number that is connected to, I think they're connected to the banking association, and so they're listed through this main number, but all these other numbers are other designated numbers, or sometimes they're subsidiary numbers, etc. So this is what I did with the information. In Canaan, they have it listed as business corporation business numbers, and so recently the system, you know, started to provide me that information. You know, previously when I put in the search, nothing came up, and now it's directing me to where to find that information. So, you know, it's opening up for me in that way, and so I'm able to identify these numbers, and they're on the lien, right? And so then I will put it on the 1099 cancellation as well. And I feel free to update this. So if I find another number that I think is pertinent, you know, if I really feel like that's an important one to add on, I do, and just amend the record and notify as well. All right.
Beautiful.
So
that's beautiful.
I'm going to continue.
Islam. Can we take a moment to open up?
Yes.
Islam.
So I'm going to go back to where we were to continue with the seeing the whole perfected claim. So we were discussing levies. So levies was where we left off, and then the bond is listed here, and then the United States deed and perfect clear low deal title. And then the chronos, the date of the lien. So the chronos for the lien as well. So that is the appropriations process written across, and the headings for the title is stating what needs to be in this record for this account. Now the appropriations is us taking the resource and nationalizing the resource. This is the first stage of it. Once we do that, then we could go over to our allocations record and start granting ourselves credits based on that. Because what I've, come to is that once we remove the presumption of debt, by doing that perfected claim at the beginning for the appropriation stage, then we're the creditor who's able to assign and grant ourselves all credits. And so this is the side of that where the allocation, the remittance record is for, where we're creating instruments and granting ourselves resources. And for instance, for this first one, it was a canceled bill, a lease, and now I could write a check or create an instrument for this amount. I don't want to jump ahead, but I want to just, say that's what happens next, right? And I think it's important just to get the beginning steps in place, because once we know how to lay the foundation, everything else will be so much easier. We'll be able to build on it and use our creativity to create whatever we will to create for ourselves. But that's as long as we have this foundational piece in place, right? Islam. So, if I may, I will go back to
Islam.
Our records. Islam.
Can we open the meeting for a minute?
Oh,
Like
sure.
my computer is. Thank you so much. Islam, gratitude.
Go ahead, Empress Anagel.
Islam.
Okay, Islam. So we're going to go into our next page. So that was talking about files. What we just finished was setting up our folders. And our folders looked at how to create the folder, how to upload files, but it also looked at how to link our documents to our spreadsheets. So that's what we just went over, okay, that information. And who has access to those files? Where are we sharing them? How are we sharing them? Okay, so that was that page. And now we're going on to linking the files to the spreadsheet and how we do that. So here we go. So we open the folder with the affidavit that we will to link, and right-click the mouse to bring up the document menu. Go to share and copy link. So here it is, and so the easier answer is that I'm here, I right-click, and I go to the share point, and I just say copy link. Okay, so that's the basics of it. So we copy the link, and then let's see what the step is. Open the spreadsheet and select the field to place the file. So where do you want to put it is the next thing, okay? So let's say I want to put it here. Then I'm going to the functions area up here. So it's underneath the menus or under where it says file, edit, view, insert. Under here, this is where I'm going to put this information. So I'm going to put Control V and paste it, okay? And so when I do that, I have to click away from it. I have to deselect it to be able to make it into a chip or to change it into anything else. So I then go back to it and I hover, and I'm able to make a decision to, hold on, let me adjust a little bit here. I have to make it the right height so I can do this. Because then I could click on the chip. So hold on, I gotta make it smaller. 1 minute. Here we are. Right, and then you'll be able to click on the chip to make it a chip, okay? And then that changes the file into a file that we could click on, we could copy, and it's easily viewable. We just like the technology that goes with that, okay? So that is, so we opened the spreadsheet, we selected the field that we wanted to put it in, and then we pasted the URL or the link into the functions field. And that's what this picture is about. This is the functions field here, under the menu, and then we have to go away and press another field so we could deselect it, and then we could turn it into a chip. So we hover over the link in the spreadsheet field to bring up the menus chip, and then we could, this is what it looks like, and we could click chip, basically, and it changes it into a chip. The chips are not necessary, okay? So if you left it as a URL, it will still work, needless to say. But the chips are effective in the way that they're visual, right? They have visual cues, and so that's helpful for us. Okay. Islam.
I hopefully this is not advanced, but even if when you click on the cell where you want to copy the link, you could still leave it as it is, or shall I say, I'm trying to figure out how to say it without it sounding so confusing. So when you click on the cell, you can also do a Control V just right there. Not necessarily that you have to go to the function. It'll do the same thing.
Yes, you can, indeed.
Islam, and I just wanted to point that out. I'm quite sure you know that, but I didn't want to sound advanced for, your presentation.
Yes.
You can do the same thing, and it might even be easier than, because you're already there. Now, if you want to choose to, change it into a chip or leave it as is, or however the choice would be. Islam, I yield.
Excellent. So let's follow through on what you just said. So I've just gone to a field here, and I press Control V, and it's been put in. And look, it's encouraging me to press Tab to make it a chip. So that's easy. That's lovely. When I found that I did it that way, it changed my formatting. So like my text started changing colors, my fonts started changing colors, and so for that reason, I had done it the way. But both ways work with me, so excellent. So here we go. So that is the step about linking the files to your spreadsheet. And we've gone over it a few times because I think that may be a little difficult, but just try it out. It's not so tough. That's the main thing that we do. Now, there was two other steps that I will to share, and I have one of them here, which is calculating the amounts in the spreadsheet. So this is the part where we're using the math for the spreadsheets. So select the field to place the calculation. Then go to the functions field under the menu list, and sum means addition. You can definitely learn all the different functions that you could do in a spreadsheet. I don't know all the functions that you could do in a spreadsheet, I'll be honest about it. I just used one so far, and that was just to add up numbers on the accounts line in a row. And I used equals sum and then selected the cells or the fields that I wanted to add together. So in this one, excuse me, pardon, it says the cells P3 to AC3 will be added together. So row 3, which is what the 3 number means, and then the columns P through AC is what is added together, okay? Let's have a look at that. So here, this is in the allocations and remittance fields or sheet, and it is, as you see, P3 is this one, this particular field. And as we go across, and this is kind of long, so it came up to AC. So I'm basically adding this whole row of numbers, okay? And so my deduction summary is where that function is written, okay? So this is equals sum P3 to, and so when we click on it, really what I'm highlighting is all these cells across. This is what I'm adding together, basically. And so that is, once you put in, your amounts, then you can add them together and basically use some functions and do some of the math aspect of what the spreadsheets allow you to do. I haven't done a whole bunch of it, but the basics is here. Another one that I used is the amount of years. I did unit times years, and so it was just 2 fields. It was K3, which was this one, the unit amount of the public work order amount. So that was an amount. So in this case, it was a canceled bill, and this is how much the canceled bill was. And then the amount of years was N3, for example, and so it had the amount of 19 years. And so those two were multiplied together to get, and also times 12, and that's what gave me this amount. So that was the little math that I had done
on the spreadsheet so far. And when you look on YouTube, you will find so much information about how to do functions on sheets. And some of them are like, 3-minute videos, and some are like 20 or an hour videos. It really depends on how deep you want to go into that area of erudition. But they're not particularly hard. They're just basically code. You know what I mean? The star means times, for example. Most functions begin with the equal sign, and from there, I'm sure you'll figure out the rest. It's not too difficult to do, and if you need help, there's places to go to learn how to do this. Okay? So that's the basics about the doing calculations in the sheets, and then I put some resources for erudition. But there was one last step that I didn't put on the record, but I will update it and I will share it, which is how to print them, which was an interesting part as well. So, for example, I've gone to the appropriations sheet, and let's say I'm going to highlight the whole row. So I would like to highlight this whole row. It may be 3 rows down. So I'm going to press Shift and highlight all 3 of them. Okay? And then I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Download. For me, I'm going to download it as a PDF. Okay? So here we are. We go to the PDF, and then this print setting comes up, and I have some options. So the first thing that I've done here is I'm going to select selected cells. Okay? I only want the selection because otherwise it could be, all the information trying to fit on one page, and that wouldn't fit. So I select cells so I could make it manageable, so I could see the information clearly, right? I'm going to put it as fit to height, and I've made the margins narrow. So when I made it wide, it only was able to put one of my columns in, for example. When I made it normal, same thing, but when I did it narrow, I could fit 2 columns on the page. So that's how I worked that one out. And then I looked here. It says formatting, show grid lines, show notes. I left that as it was. But in terms of headers and footers, I put page numbers on because it is making a few pages for just this information here. So I put page numbers on. As you see, how I selected it, I wasn't specific enough because I'm getting a whole bunch of blank cells or fields on my record. So I would go back and select it again, if you get what I'm saying, just so that it stops when, with the information that I put into the table, okay? And then I would put the title on it. Because we're doing more than one sheet, I'm putting the titles in. You could also put the sheet name, for example, right? But in this case, I just put the workbook title, and then because, I am who I am, I go and I edit it again and put our flag on the banner of anonymity on the corner here, so that and then change the text from black to blue. That's what I do, right? And so that's how I've been printing and then filing these records. That's how I've been approaching it. Just because I had to create a system about how I was going to file them, because these are Treasury records, and each time I will to file them, I'm going to put a date stamp and certify them, and then I was like, how do I will them to be consistently? And so that was my answer, was to put the flags on them and to seal them and to date them and to make sure nothing was capitalized. Needless to say, it's done. And so that was the last piece about printing. So then I would export it and save it where I keep these records. and then I numbered them. I put a date stamp on them, and kept track of them by the sheet. So this was the appropriation sheet, for example, and then the remittance sheet would be a different designation, and then the tribute sheet would be a third designation, because I have 3 sheets that I'm working with presently. Islam,
I have a quick question, just for continuity and clarity. So, what's the importance of printing the record in this manner, in this regard? Just having the cells and the things reflected on paper, and not just having it on the computer. What's the importance of that?
Because I'm filing them as the Treasury. So I am presently printing out these records. I've sent in 2 so far, and they are. I am. How do I say? I'm filing them with my retail bank because I'm the Treasury. So I have a retail bank where my legacy account is, right? And I'm recording all of my calls for actions as the Treasury, and I'm sending them the files to be filed in the system. Now, the system can hear me at all times, right? Because it's paying attention, and really, we are the Treasury. But there's a part where the filing of these records, because all these records have already been created, in some cases, years ago. You know what I mean? So really, my recording of them is settling the accounts. Only we could settle the accounts. Only the Treasury, only the clearinghouse could settle the accounts. And we're settling the accounts by creating the record. Does that answer your question, Empress?
Yeah, so kind of, sort of. So, also, so when you print this in this manner, and so there's the blank, the space on the page. You're saying you're filling that with the banner and the flag and your seal, all the pages that have the blank space in the bottom?
Okay, let me have a look. I'll show you one. Here it is. Here.
While you're looking for that, Empress, in addition to what you stated in response to Empress Angel's question, and this is for everyone to know, we're doing this because it's also easy to print these out once every 2 or 3 months, so that if the internet or computers or electricity goes down, there's continuity of government, continuity of banking, continuity of wealth, continuity of records and record keeping. That's one of the main reasons for doing things the way that we're doing them now, is because it's really easy to just print all of this off once every so often and set it aside, so that we always have records of who's the creditor and who's the debtor, and how much we have in the yes, and Justice Harold stated it in the chat. He said redundancy. Yes, it's redundancy. It's purposeful redundancy, so that there's always continuity where our wealth and government is concerned. Islam, I yield.
Islam, I wanted to also add to what Empress Light is pointing out. Another option is a flash drive, to be able to track and to keep up with what's going on. We always have a record. As she stated, anything could happen. The system could go down, the internet, meaning anything could happen. But at least on a flash drive, you have it. You have it. So that's another option as well. And then thinking when we print it out like this, we can also add it to our affidavits that we're sending out to the debtors. So they will know that here's the information on your account. So that's another idea. Islam, are you?
Islam. Islam, can you hear me? Empress Shosha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I will to add on or just in the. So when Empress Anagel, you stated that you print them out and you send them to our retail banking system, and then Empress Light, you stated that, which is the superseding reason I'm hearing, for us to have records on hand, whether any other system goes out, we've got the books tactile, tangible right there at hand. What I was thinking when, Empress Anagel, when you stated you send them out, in my mind, why send them out when I can send an affidavit with the information linking to that in the system for the retail banking system?
Islam.
I'm just thinking, and so because it is, yes. And what I'm hearing that it's more important to have it's about keeping our records safe for continuity of banking, government, and everything else. But I was just thinking in terms of, because I'm always thinking in terms of how to perfect, but also limit excess printing. And these systems, yes, and the system that we have, where we can, within the records, we can actually, in what I'm hearing, do what you did manually with the actual physical, but provide that with a link to the records, but limited, of course, only what you would have sent. That's just what I'm hearing. And so my question is, that a good suggestion, or is there something in the manually giving to the actual physical to the retail banking system? Now I can't see it in my own mind and in my knowledge, but maybe that's something I'm missing.
Islam.
I yield.
So yes, I always envisioned this to be digital. You know, when I spoke to my heir, he says, no one uses sheets to print out. Everyone just links them. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. When I began, I envisioned it as a point of connection digitally for me to record on the public record. Like this was just another aspect of the public record, but far more advanced, where everything was in one place and then everything was settled as well. Mm-hmm. In this past strong, I've learned a lot. Like, you get what I mean? As soon as I printed the checks, I was like, why didn't I see this before? It's so simple, right? Like, you know what I mean? It took me a moment for it to click. Like, I had to go the whole process to see that we are granting it to ourselves, and really nobody else is in the whole cycle but us, right? And that we are the ones who settle the accounts, at all times and all points in time. So that being stated, I found that right now the emphasis right now is for us to refine it and agree that this is how we like to do it. This is how we will it to be done. Because Moors recognize each other. We are the Treasury. There is really nobody else who's going to, say this is how it's done. Only we would state that.
Once we agree, from there, we could then say, now this is a digital system, and, you know, the system is what recognizes our commands. And our commands would just literally be a data point on our spreadsheet. I would just upload the affidavit, and that's all I would need to do, if you get what I'm saying there.
But that's what I see. That's what
Yes.
I see. So that was my question, was why is there a why it cannot be done by the way I see it, having
Yes.
being that you've already done it with, you know, physically. So that was a question as well as a statement of how I envisioned it. So thank you.
Yes.
I yield.
I printed these two records because in the territory that I am, the presumption of debt has been, you know, the main conversation. And although they know I am the creditor, and they know that I am the public and the government, they've been walking around with this, you know, presumption of debt conversation. And I needed to do the whole thing just to show them, to demonstrate, you know, that we are financially superior at all points in time, right? So this is what's been going on in my territory because the presumption of debt is still circulating in the air for some reason. So that's what this was about. And I deliberately left it in place because I recognized that when everything came online, I need to put a little stopgap in place just so that we could see the energy open up and everything release. Because not only are we taking charge of our system, we are also breaking a spell. Like, the spell needs to be broken, and this was how it was to be done, right? Because the Moors have always been here, and the land has always been here. So this whole perception going on, the spell has to be broken. And so I left this little stopgap in place so that when it came full, whoosh, it would open up. You get what I mean?
Yeah, man. I hear you. It's same. I mean, it's the same issue, the same story here.
Yep, everywhere.
Same story everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely overstand, see how you did it, why you did it, and all of those things. I just went to where you really envisioned it, digital, because I'm just, it can be done.
Yeah. It is a digital record.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
I think that, yeah, you the printing is like laying the stepping stones fully visually in and on, not that digital is not on the land, but to drop it, that sound of it clanging and everything else. Initially, as you said, break the spell, and then it will advance and adjust and mutate as we will it too.
As we will it too, yeah.
Islam.
Let the spell to be broken. Islam.
I affirm all that has been stated thus far. I'd just like to add briefly that when we talk about digital, things that are digital, for example, the actors were pretending to enact a digital currency, quote unquote, and they called it a CBDC, central bank digital currency. The word digital is, so some were saying, you know, everything is already electronic. You can sign on to a bank account electronically and look and see what's in it. So what's different? What's different is that when the language is changed from electronic to digital, that is first, it's a word. Digital is a word, because in the beginning, the word has to be spoken first. And then from that, it becomes digital in the computers, and then we always do things in threes. The third digital is that which we can hold in our digits, our hands. Okay.
Digits are our fingers. Yeah.
Digits are our fingers. We had to manifest that all the way out too, because again, this is still money we're talking about. Money is held in the hands. And if you don't, and even the subjects say this, if you don't hold it, you don't own it.
It's not
tangible. And so, yes, if it's not something that you can hold in your hands, then forget about it. Because see, that's the only way that the corpses were existing, is they had paper when they came to the door, and we didn't.
Correct. Correct.
They had warrants, and we didn't.
Correct.
And who wins? Rock, paper, scissors. Who wins? You see? So, you know, where Empress Shasha asked the question about being able to just put a link. See, now we can just send a link because we have the actual things that we can hold in our hands, and we can show where that link came from, where it's going, what it's pointing to, and all of that. It's kind of like the difference between Bitcoin and Moorish sovereign dollarium. Bitcoin, all we have to do is say, zoop, it doesn't exist. And guess what? It's that simple. It doesn't exist because you don't have anything you can touch. If I said to anybody, can you hand me one of your Bitcoins? They can't do it. But if they say, can you hand me $1, I can get some dollarium and pass it on over to them, or a gold dollar or a silver dollar, and pass it to them. So the presumption of debt, Empress Anagel, my turban is still, it's about this big right about now in the spirit realm. It's just growing every time you speak, because you mentioned the presumption of debt. That's the presumption that no one spoke about. That's not one of the 12 presumptions of court. But here you presented it and then rebutted it. That's what this past 7 years was about, is getting each area of debt addressed, each one. And then, Empress Anagel, you brought it all together. So now there is no presumption of debt, because we're presenting the credits. And the remittance part is, Empress Anagel, that remittance part hit me really hard this week. It was it's like somebody punching me, and I just loved it, you know, because that part presented this week, and we sent out a check and everything, and it just worked like a charm. There's a complete circle now. Financially, there's a complete circle that is impenetrable. It can't be penetrated by fraud. And that's the part I love, Islam. I yield.
Islam. Empress just mentioned what we could in a form of, I'm not sure how to state this. As a form of payment, we can either give dollarium or gold or silver coins. So if we're going to use gold and silver coins, do they have to be minted by us, or can they use what is presently here now? Am I making any sense? So right now, the coins that the people of the world have are not minted by us. So if you're going to lawfully make a payment, would that be considered money? If that made
not
sense.
Really.
Okay, all right. That's what I need to
because know. even the people who issued that. And I'm gonna stop the echo here for just a moment. Even the people who issue those things that they're calling gold and silver coins, they don't even call them coins, they call them rounds. ROUNDS, rounds, because they're not really coins, because only the mint can mint and issue coin and coinage. Only the mint can do that. No one else can do that. We're the mint. So yes, at some point we will mint our own gold and silver coins, but we have to remember what the word coin means. Coin means to create. When you coin a term, that means you define it, you create the term, and then you give it a definition. And that's what we've done with Dollarium. People, see, they knew that that would trip some people up when it says only gold and silver coin in tender of payment. Why didn't they just say you can only pay with gold and silver? They didn't say that. That's not what the Constitution says. It says only gold and silver coin in tender of payment. That means you can tender whatever is considered gold and silver, or what is coined as gold and silver. We have coined, see, Dollarium was coined as gold and silver. Why? Because not even a gold coin by anyone, it has any value unless our energy is on it. Mm-hmm. So it's because of our signatures and because we created Moorishe Sovereign Dollarium that it is gold and silver coin. It's already gold and silver coin. Let no one fool anyone. It's already that because we said so. Mm-hmm. So I yield.
Yes, that's the truth of it. Simply that's the truth of it. And yeah, and it just has opened up. Like we opened the door. We have opened the way, which is really what's happened. We have opened the way because, and that's what was needed at this time, is that Moors need to be able to access their resources. It's very key right now. We must bring, our vision into materialization. We must create all the things, because I listen to the Moors and it's so many very clear visions about things to correct on the land and things to nurture on the land, and like so much clear energy there. That needs to come into being right now. And so this is the way through, right? We do it this way. And and in this process, I just in the completion of it, what the last piece that came in was like the last piece of the puzzle that fit in was looking at what was service. Because service was the enactment of the third parties. They kept on wanting to say that we're offering you service on top of whatever the thing was, and the service was the fees and the taxation and all this other stuff that all of a sudden they can't do what they're supposed to be doing because they got to be getting their service fees. So service has been that was that part there. And we are the public work order. We put the commands in place for the work. We are the ones who place the commands in place for the work. And they have obligation to fulfill it. That has been very clear from the beginning. They've never questioned that part. But this command, this is what these records are doing, right? It's putting those commands in place for us to have them executed in a timely manner. So, like, I had a whole kind of question about, so what are deposits and what are terms on deposits? Like, I had questions now. Now these questions have meaning now for me, and I will to have those discussions in Congress so we could work that through. And the other request I have of Congress is also to bring our brightest, bring forth the geniuses now. We are in a digital age. I know each one of us in our community, our immediate clans, have these digital people who know how to do all this technical stuff. Please bring them forward now. It's time for us to bring all our minds together and start working on how to make it easier for ourselves. We need to come together around that, and let our genius be in our own service right now. Like we really just need to connect to do that. So I will to ask Empress Light and the Congress if we could set times for our technology energy to come forth, because I have visions about what it's supposed to do. I just don't know the language of how to program it to happen. But I do know that I don't need to recreate the wheel. I already know there's someone in our nation who already knows how to do that. And looking at me like, why are you taking so long to figure it out? They're like, ah! Right? Because, you know, they're just gifted there, and that's just who they are, you know. So, you know, let us come together and bring that energy forward so that we can create, you know, the pathways for ourselves. Because, you know, these spreadsheets were always there. This resource has always been there. It's just the application of it, right? And so, you know, please just know that, you know, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We just have to find ways to use what we have to do what we will to do. You know,
Islam, Empress, thank you so much. Just like what you just stated, Empress Anagel, we don't need to call forth anybody else anyway, because they're already here. We're already here. Everyone is already here. And just like these spreadsheets have been here, the next phase and step is just waiting on us too. The information technology Moors are already in place. They weren't waiting just to, you know, well, whenever you all are ready, kind of thing. You know, and they're among us, and Empress Anagel, you're one of them, because you already know what needs to come next. And how to make those things happen, all it takes is for us to just continue doing what we're doing right now, is just continue showing and sharing the information and getting it done. Because it's one thing to talk about this, but it's another thing to come to the Congress with the records already done. That's different than just talking about it. It's about doing it already and then saying, okay, this is what we have now. What's the next step from here? And the next step is already done. Now, let me tell you that the reason that I say what I'm saying is because with what we have right now, if we chose to send some gold and silver to Empress Anagel, and her send us whatever she has there, whatever resource she is governing there, we could do that and record it and everything from start to finish with what we have right now. We're already there at we can trade now.
Yes,
am I correct about that?
Yes. Yes, I affirm.
We could trade right now. And in alignment with that as well, all the things that we've done in the past, when they're placed in this format right here, that means that all of the wealth that we will to have to even claim the resource. See, now, when you bring what we've done in the past together with what we're looking at, we could easily go out onto the land and start harvesting gold and silver, and no one would question where we got the money to do it. We could do that today. We don't even. It doesn't even need to. Even though Empress Anagel and Moors, we all know this is going to grow and it's going to mature. It's going to be beautiful, like a beautiful tree, just growing and bearing fruit. We know that. Just know that with what we have right now, we can govern the whole earth with just that, and all the resources on it and everything with what we have right now, with everyone in their proper place and everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is just recording and then harvesting and getting things done. We have everything we need right now. We know how to stop fake fraud. We know how to stop that with liens, levies, and bonds. We know how to bring things into our inventory from the land. We know how to pass things to one another by way of the post office. We know how to do all of that. So we're already there. We don't have to wait another day. to get to start trading among the nations. But what we are going to do is continue to introduce our system that we're using. Because, see, the ancestors just wanted to see us first just use Delarium among one another before you get to a big system. Just do that first. Okay, we did that. Now the system is here. Okay, let's use this system so that we can then connect with other nations, and all the nations really are already on board with what we're doing because each one of us is a nation. So we can let's just start using the system. Now, some of us have to populate even more so because we have all of our things in certain places, but we have to put them together because, you know, for us, we've been sharing the information and providing links under the video so that people can at least pull a lien process and a levy process individually, but now we have to put it all together. So Empress Anagel and Congress, can we just give Empress Anagel a huge Islam? Empress Anagel, is that what you willed in completion for today?
It is complete.
Just for today. We know you're coming back with some more fire.
High honors.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam, much gratitude.
Islam, much gratitude. Yay!
So much gratitude.
Oh, gratitude. Gratitude, Congress.
Gratitude.
Islam, very good work. Islam, I appreciate the work.
Gratitude.
And I know we haven't seen nothing yet. There's a lot more to come, Islam.
Oh yes. There are other Congress members who have things that they're being inspired to work on, and when the time is right, they'll present as well. Islam. Right in alignment with what's happening. That's why I say the answers are already here. We, Empress Anagel, Islam, you asked what is a perfected claim, and we are the ones who have the authority to state what a perfected claim looks like. I move that we state that this, along with the remittance portion, is a perfected claim. And all in favor, Empress Anagel, let me just ask you before we take that vote, if you're ready for that vote to be taken.
Yes, I am. You know why I was asking the question? I was asking the question because there are Moors who have been in the process and it hasn't quite clicked, right? Like they have pieces of the claim, but they don't see it completely, right? And I felt like a part of it was erudition. So a big part of it was erudition. When it moved forward for me, it was because I had studied a piece of law that then made the picture come into focus, right? And I willed for this offering to be made to the Moors that through diligence have stuck with it, but haven't figured out how to connect the law to their claim. And it really is. It's the law that even if you do all these processes, if you don't know the law, then it doesn't connect. You get what I'm saying? We are the Article 3 court. I mean, we are the court.
Yes.
We stand
and
at
the
law.
bank.
And therefore we are the bank. Therefore it's a natural that we are everything. We're all titled, right? And so, you know, I in this presentment was trying to highlight that if you could see the steps all together, then you could see what the law is, Like, what is the foundation of law? Islam.
Seeing the law, Empress, that is just brilliant. Why do we need to learn a lien process? Why do we need to use court action language? Why do we need to have our own money instead of using fiat to try and have a court system based on fiat when that's already done?
Yeah.
In the enactment. Why? Why have our own everything? Why? This is why. Right here on the screen. This is why the ancestors took 7 years for us to know every piece of documentation that's in here. And then have it all come together. To say one thing, we are the Lord's and the wealth is ours. That's one thing.
Yes.
Islam. And with that stated, I vote Angelica Yvette Bay, Tajiri territory, Swamp Pomac jurisdiction, land of Nod. I vote yay.
Yes, and we're voting that this is this is what a perfected claim looks like with the addition of the remittance part, which Empress Anagel, when will you go over that part?
Perhaps not this Congress, because I think it overwhelms. Like, I don't want to give too much information because it overwhelms. And I will overwhelm. I will for people to take it in, digest, and then come back with questions about, what do you mean about that? What does that mean? And then if you will, let us go over the remittance again, because the remittance talks about deductions, and it moves us from the idea of there's a debit side and a credit side to our account books, which has never been, right? So for us to truly get what remittance is, we need to get first that this is a claim. This is the foundation to the banking system, right? This is what this is, right? And then a remittance could be understood as we returning all our wealth to ourselves 100-fold, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I trust that I've deliberately decided to walk slowly. Like, it's a purpose. I'm doing it on purpose. I thought, how can I make it the smallest bite pieces that we could, so we could take it in and turn it over a few times and then be like, okay, that makes sense to me. And now I see how it connects to the next piece and to the next piece, right? So I'm walking slowly on purpose, right? So that everyone could come. I mean, that's how I am. You know what I mean? We're a nation. You know what I mean? We're a nation. So all the matriarchs, all the nobles, and all the heirs, this is for us, right? We are the nation. And so if we may go over the remittance, I will make another step-by-step, if it's okay, walking through the remittance process, if it's needed, if there's more information that's needed at this point for the spreadsheets, so that we could truly get this. Matriarch, like, you have shared this information with us so many times. Like, you must know that, right? You have explained it and given it to us in so many different perspectives to this same information. But I will that when Moors do their appropriations spreadsheet for at least just one account, then they can begin their allocation and remittance, and then it will start to make sense to them what is actually occurring around their banking system for themselves and their nation, for they are a nation.
Yeah. Well, remember, in the animal husbandry schools, they took 12 years to show us whatever they were supposed to be showing us or what they thought they were supposed to be showing us. 12 years.
Yep.
And we still didn't get to be debt wealthy.
Yep.
Yeah.
May I suggest that we read the law? And so my reading list is the Buck Act, the Social Security Administrations Act, the Christian Codes, the Clearfield Trust, and then the Great Taking. If you follow that train of thought through, then that when I say we are the clearinghouse will make sense to you. You'll say, we're the clearinghouse. And you'll be like, oh, I get it. And all derivatives thereof. And you'll be like, oh, I get it. Okay, so please take some time to read the law, because even if you create all these affidavits, it will still not make sense to you if you don't know the law. It's the law that we stand. It is our state at law.
Yes. Empress Anagel, may I return the presenter piece? I will, to show what you're speaking about remittance. It's not long. It's just one little. It's not even. It's a graph. It's a quick graph.
Yes.
About remittance and it's like an overall view of what you just explained. So let me. And in reality, what Empress Anagel has brought to us, which is what we've been speaking about all these years, is a way to transition from the previous era's presumption of debt to the knowing of being on the land. That's what we will, to just show this one little graph that the ancestors had us to put together in preparation for today as well, just to further affirm what Empress Anagel has stated thus far, which is just, my turban is just huge right now. Just one moment, let me pull this up really quickly. Islam, Justice Pauline.
Yeah, I was going to say something. I was just saying something on the phone, not for the Congress. Islam.
Oh, okay. Islam.
And by the way, thank you, Empress Anagel, Islam, for the demonstration. Islam.
Gratitude, nobility. Noble, I have to say your energy has come through so strong in this past strong. The energy of Konsu, right? And
yes.
Neter Hotep. and as I irradiated on that energy, it was those who break spells. You know, it was a big spell breaking energy, and I was like, wow, so much. And it was about creating rhythm and ordering. So just by us putting it in order, to organize it and creating a rhythm to it is putting everything in place. It's like putting everything to this new drum beat, to this new frequency, to this new energy. And so truly gratitude, nobility. Your energy came through so strong this past strong. Islam.
And we can hear you. Your voice is stronger too, Justice Constance, by the way. Islam. So this particular, as the landlords, Justice Harold mentioned a T account last strong. He mentioned a T account. This is what, if we were to put what we're doing into a T account process, this is similarly what it would look like. And what it looks like is that capitalized foreign private commercial paper, let's say it comes to the mailing location under the pretense of the wrong address. So we receive it, and we automatically on that side do a Universal Commercial Code 1 lien, an internal revenue levy, a treasury bond, and then we do allodial title if it's referring to property or anything like that, like domiciles and conveyances. And then once it gets over onto the creditor side, then we publish and notify of what we've done with that capitalized private commercial paper. What we did was we created a lien, a levy, a bond, and the title. We publish and notify that has been done. Then we begin the process of restating everything. So we create system-ready documents and system-ready documents and record them in our account records with what Empress Anagel has presented. So that would be trust deeds, automobile recordations, tags, travel affidavits, indemnis facier insurance affidavits, meets and bounds, constitutions, court actions, whatever it is. We restate all and then record that. And then just be sure to sync the black documents by putting holes in them in your records. Whenever you put capitalized foreign private commercial paper documents that you have neutralized into your documentation, it should be surrounded by all of these other restatements and liens and levies and titles and bonds and all of that. And then it should have holes in it, because you're syncing it so that it does not stay afloat among your documents. That's the only way to bring capitalized private commercial paper neutralized into our record system, because 7 years ago we wouldn't have dreamed of doing that. But now that we know better and we know how to do it, we can do it that way. So that is the strategy for transitioning to the land, the properties and things. We're already on the land. Our property is already on the land. All we're doing now is ministry work, paperwork. So for all Moors who you're wondering, like, you don't want to lose your domicile in this process of declaring your nationality. People have been afraid of things like that. You don't want to lose your conveyance. You don't want to lose that stuff. You want that stuff to come with you. This is how you do it. You're really dealing more with the paper than you are with anything else. That's why we've introduced all of these processes, because those are the same processes, and it's not that many processes when you really think about it. Lien, levy, bond, allodial title, and then you begin restating the legalities that the system understands, because the system is a legal system. We're the law, and our system is the legal system. And our system does what we tell it to do. So that's something really quickly that we will to just make it clear that that is what is happening right now, is that we are, making the things that are in a legal system, which is the system we created, making those things manifest as they should. Okay? So that way, the transition is a smooth transition. It is a transition that is peaceful. We don't will to have war over paper. It doesn't make sense to have war over paper. We will to capture and record our wealth in the way that Empress Anagel has presented here. Islam.
Islam, if I may?
Yes, Islam, Empress.
In this past strong, one of the questions that was asked of me was, can I recontract?
So that was the question that was put to me. So as a Moor, can I recontract? And I said, so the question I asked back was, have you completely rebutted the fraud? In what you have done to state your nationality, have you rebutted the fraud? Are you a Moor? Are you on the land? Are you nationalized? This is the question I asked. Have you rebutted it? And the answer was yes. So I said, so can a creditor ever be in a contract with a debtor? Is that even possible? Especially since your status has been put back in its right honorable status. Is it even possible? So I said, then therefore, contract is one that you must set in your own jurisdiction. We're going to cancel them and move them from being debts to being credits.
Yes. Right?
And in this pass strong, what I found was that the bills, I canceled them, and then I remitted them 13 times over through all our ministries, and then said, and so therefore this is the amount of the obligation. So therefore these numbers grew. It doesn't matter how much the bill was, all of a sudden multiplied, it came back and it grew. And so that was the amount of the obligation that they had to fulfill. That is how much is prepaid. That's how much how much credit there is. It simply accounts, right?
That's it. And only we can multiply them.
Yes, and only we could settle them, because no one else can do this for us. Only we can do this for ourselves, because we're the original creditors. No one else can operate the system but us. Right? That's the key about this. No one else could operate the system but us. And so, and it's, it's a happy moment, but it brings rise to that, what I've offered here is for every Moor that wills to use it. I've learned in this walk that there's some that may hear about it, but they don't will to do what they will to do to claim this for themselves. So it is for all who will to use it. And on the other side, the subjects on the land, I from my point of view, I think that those with bloodthirst are going to continue to have bloodthirst. I think their nature is their nature, but they will still obey the laws of the land, and I am the law of the land.
Of course.
And so all that war enactment is suspended. I don't care what your nature is in that sense. No more of that. You know what I mean? That's done, right? But then on the other side, I am very aware that they've been waiting for us to govern the land again. Like everybody's been waiting for us to take charge of this again, right? For only we could settle the accounts. Only we as the creditors can operate the system as it's meant to be operated. No one else can do it. And it is based on our will and our, we are creating it for ourselves. We know what it is to be. And I've noticed that when we take care of the heirs, it takes care of everybody. It trickles down and everybody's taken care of. So that was my other observation as I've been going through as well.
Empress, I have noticed that when we take care of ourselves first, that it trickles to everybody else. I mean, the ancestors have made it very clear that no contract can hold us when we do this, when we govern that whole everything. So to the question of can someone, whoever it was that was asking, can they contract things? The answer is, what have you done to protect yourself? Yourself first, before you can do anything like that. And then, even after that, when you protect yourself properly, you already know that you're not really contracting with fraud. You're not doing that. That's not what you're doing. It has a new name.
Yeah.
It's called acquisition.
Yes, the great taking.
The great taking. Yes, acquisition. You're acquiring things that you have a right to acquire with the right documentation and with the right knowing.
Yes. Yes.
The ancestors will that we have everything we see. Everything we see. But they will to take us to have us to protect, to provide an unruptured circle financially. That's what that is, Empress Anagel. No one can come in and put their own entry into our records from out there somewhere in all capital letters in black. They can't do that. We have to do it.
Yes.
The records are automatically encrypted with ancient English.
Islam. Yep.
Because that was one of the questions. Oh, go ahead, Empress Anagel.
No, that is so true. That was another one of the questions that came up this strong as well. So what is ancient English? And I was like, well, the system recognizes it. And so that was an interesting discussion. And again, it has come back down to erudition. It's about law. If we do not take the time, you could do so many affidavits and so many demonstrations, but if you don't know the law, it's not imprinting on you if you don't know the law from which you're standing on. And it's really about the imprint on you are recoding and updating yourself in this, right? So, Islam.
Yes. That question about encryption was one of the first questions that the IT Moors asked. Is your system encrypted? Is it protected? I said, yes, it is. Well, why is that? How is it that way? It's protected first and foremost because it's decentralized. Each and every one of us has a set of records. The records are set up the same way. And that's another reason, because there's a matter of encryption and security. When we set all of our records up the same way, and say, for example, I started with a blank slate, a blank sheet, and then I put the headings in and things, that's a decentralized set of records. And my records start with the first lien on the United States Corporation Company. That's what it starts with. Therefore, all other records are protected because of that one. All other records are protected because of that one that covered. That's an overarching record. That's the 00. And if you have even one record in your records that has 002 025923, that bond number, then all your overarching records are protected. Everything is protected underneath that. Everything. And then ancient English is encryption, because no one speaks ancient English but us. Let's just make that clear. No one spells the way we do but us. That is the encryption. That's the encryption. And then any access, the security measures, access to each account, and all of that's encryption already. So we don't even have to worry about encryption, because at any time we can add passwords to the page. We can add passwords to each individual account at any time, and that's any of us. So encryption happens at every level, with every account, everywhere in our system. And in order for people to access your account, you actually have to give them access. So fortunately, all of the questions that the information technology Moors asked, we had all of the answers, and the answers were suitable for them. There was no stone left unturned in all that we do.
Islam. Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. I had one or two other things about. We were going to do a vote about unveiling also, but let's do you all will to, because I'm kind of sensing that we will to call it a perfected claim after the remittance part. Is anyone else feeling that, or can we vote on that today, or should we wait until the remittance part is done?
I affirm.
I affirm.
Affirm. Which one?
I affirm that we wait. We see the complete the process and then vote. I affirm.
Yeah. I affirm.
Yeah.
Islam.
I affirm.
Yeah.
I
Islam.
affirm.
Islam.
I
Affirm for the complete process.
Islam. I affirm.
Affirm.
Islam.
I could hear your spirit saying, let's do it when we see that last piece. So we'll hold on the vote for the presentment of a perfected claim from start to finish until after the remittance, because we do have a majority vote there already with those who voted. A second vote that we were going to do is this. As I was studying the 12 presumptions of court, this is what I read in the 12 presumptions of court. It says a Roman court does not operate according to any true rule of law, but by presumptions of the law. And Empress Anagel spoke about the presumption of debt. That is one of the presumptions that they did not mention here. It says, therefore, if presumptions presented by the private bar guild are not rebutted, they become fact and are therefore said to stand true or as truth in commerce. And then comes the big lie that there are only 12 key presumptions asserted by the private bar guilds, which is not true. Mm-hmm. So one thing that we found out as we began to study this is that as we were presenting our documents in the freeing ourselves, we would go online and we would pull up a quote unquote case, and all we would see is corporate stuff in capital letters and black ink and just fraud and fraud, basically. That's what we would see. But that is because we as a Congress and as a people had not yet, and I'm grateful that we didn't until now, had not yet unsealed or unveiled our documents. Unveiling the documents means that any of the documents that we place on the public record can be seen by the public. That comes from the openly challenged mandate that all courts must adhere to. So when we were sending our documents signed, stamped, sealed, our affidavits and things, and Moors were even going in there speaking and saying who they were, the presumption of openly challenging had not yet been met because Moors were not being the court when they went in there, for the most part. Many were, some were. We know that we were as well as others. But the majority of Moors, their documents were not seen on the record because they were going in as if they were going to court instead of being court. And now that we have superseded that mandate by our own word, not by anyone else's mandate, but by our own, we know now that we can unveil all the documents that we've ever signed and autographed, that we sent out to all these different places. We did all types of actions, and they were not shown in the record. They were only shown in our records, which still made them valid for everything else. But now we will that the public be able to see our documents that we all sent, for some of us, for those who will. And that is the vote of openly challenging. That's what we're doing today. It's not even a challenge, it's open rebuttal is actually a better word. Open rebuttal. Here, let's go ahead and fix that. Open rebuttal to supersede all presumptions. We have the systems in place. We have our courts. We have our banks. We have our systems in place. We are already openly challenging, but we must vote together to state that everything that we sent in the past is open challenge, or open rebuttal rather, so that when people pull things up on the computer, they can see it. Are there any questions, comments, or wisdom about that vote before we take it? Let's discuss it really quickly before we take that vote, or we can put the vote off for another week if you will to do that. What do you think about Islam and
So the presumption of debt is fraud. Fraud is the presumption of debt. And when we stated that full disclosure, that we were taking based on our identity, that cleared the whole table, because then our records became the only records. There's no other records.
Yeah.
Because there's only one court, and it's the Article 3 court.
Yes.
Yeah. So the full disclosure is the part that, you know, it really turned. As soon as I put the blood on the door, that's when everything started to shift and turn, because it's a divide and be energy. Like, because I say who I am, now you must say who you are. If you get what I mean, that's and just talking about Moors and saying, oh yeah, we've done these things and these enactments is still not disclosure. You still haven't stated your name and your nationality, and that is the mandate at land.
Yeah.
So this rebuttal and this presumption is still a command for them to state who they are and where they are. And where they are is the key. I'm in Morocco as well. You know what I mean? I'm in Morocco. I mean, this is Canaan land.
Yeah.
And the clarity of that is that those who will to go with the current, the frequency of the energy of this at this time will align themselves with the empire of Morocco, and that is what will be the energy, and everybody else will find themselves on the outside of this energy, and that's just the facts of it. That's where the divide and be occurs. Yeah, and it's frequency. It's actually energy. If I've noticed it, it's knowing, because I've been walking on the land, and it's not so much that everyone's action about it. It's about their knowing. They know this vibration is now. We are rising. Everyone's rising. Even the animals in my neighborhood are rising. You know what I mean? The energy is rising. And so this presumption of debt, of lack, has been rebutted as soon as we said who we are.
Yeah.
We are the original record. We are the arches.
So, Empress, you spoke of a group that will be outside of this. That is what this vote is about. Is that we still have to notify them. There still has to be open rebuttal so that they can at least have an opportunity to look at what's being done so that they can come in. in their rightful place, wherever that is.
But the mandate is already on the land for them to, as I put it, on the land, has been to that they must, proper persona, proper identification of all parties, all entities on the land, is the mandate. It's the mandate, and has always been the mandate. Proper persona.
It always has. It always has,
Yes.
but we had to do some things, a bunch of things,
Yes.
in order to continue to express that, and we're just getting started.
Okay.
So we must be careful, Empress, and we've had to remind ourselves of this many times over the last 7 years. We must be careful that we don't get to the place where we think we've done everything we need to do and we don't have to do anything else. Because there's always people we have to reach. We have to reach them in however many ways that because I keep thinking about the Christians and what they did, and even what they're attempting to do now. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying we got to send teams out to Chicago and Pennsylvania, and so that we can get those two places the most. We have to share the love of Jesus with those places, and we're not mad at them, but we know why they picked those two places. If you only knew how many of them are saying that they're headed to the hood because their church needs to be diverse. And I'm saying we will use every means, method, every way that we can say you got a place to go. And that's another, see, Justice Harold mentioned it earlier. He talked about redundancy. In computers, in every area where things cannot be lost, lest the system go away, there are redundancies put in place. And that's what this vote is about also. It might seem like a redundancy to some, but in reality, it's going to reach a whole new set of people because we were able to see our documents. That's why we're saying we did everything, because we were able to see them. But if you go down the street and ask the sleeping Moor down the street, have they seen an affidavit by Moors, then most likely they're probably going to say, I don't think I've seen those. Yes. We got some put on the record here at Federal Ways that we showed everyone where they put a whole, it was something like 28 or 29 pages in red on our affidavits. It was a lien and everything. They put it they put it into the records because we told them to.
Yes.
And everything around it was black ink and capital letters, but they couldn't do anything with what we put there. So our job more, and it is to, yes, we've done things, but we can never stop. If there's even one more who doesn't know who they are, we got to find a way to reach them. We have to find a way to reach them. We know that the subjects know who they are. We know that. We're not even talking to them because they already know. They knew when they came here. Grandma and granddad told them. So we're not worried about them. They know subject status. They've proven that. They've proven that they know subject status. We're talking about our brothers and sisters now. We're talking about them. And so open rebuttal so that they can just look at the documents because they weren't able to see them because there's a separate place for sovereign documentation. There's a separate place in the records. That's why even if we went up there and we were saying, I want to see if y'all got my records on the... No, we just have a corporate document here. Judge so-and-so did this and Judge so-and-so did that. We know that's fraud. So now what we're saying is the record, not you, because there's no faces. We're not talking to faces. We're talking to a system. And what we're saying now is system, you may unveil our documentation because we know how to support it. If someone says, I will to be a Moor, but how do I do banking? We got an answer for them.
Yes, yes.
If they say, I need to stop this from happening, we got an answer for them.
Yes, yes.
But they have to see it first. They have to see something that doesn't look like anything they've ever seen.
Yep.
And know that it comes from people who look like them.
Yes. Yes.
So that is what this vote is about. It's important that we never stop doing what we're doing until every single everyone is perfected. Is perfected.
Yes. Islam. Gratitude.
No.
Gratitude. Yep.
We know. Subjects know, we know they know. So then we're not the goal and they're not the goal. It's our brothers and sisters that are the goal and we're the goal setters.
Yes, yes.
True. So we will to keep that in the forefront of our nation that yes, we're saved, but we gotta help the other ones too.
Yes.
Because we love them. And we've done some things from our Vatican point and our Vatican perspective recently that we will share with you over time. But we have we're going to have to take a vote also on another issue of our nation being a protectorate for Christians. The same way that when we were infants, that France was a protectorate for the Moors at this place.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
That was because we were infants. We didn't know. And now that we are the majority, the Christians are the infants, and particularly the Christian Moors. Why? Because they don't know who they are. They don't know that the God they worship is actually them.
Yes. Yes.
So we're making moves to be a protectorate so that there's no war, because Christians and Islamic Muslims never warred. It was always somebody using different names.
Yes, it's true.
For warring. So we're thinking ahead for our nation, because that's what our ancestors gave us, is for us all to come together and think further ahead to protect our brothers and sisters. I have brothers and sisters that came from the same Stargate that claim Christianity. So instead of denigrating them, we will protect them, because they're sincere about it until they can see that they don't have to worship a God that is not them.
Yeah.
And so we're making a move that this Congress will vote on being a Christian protectorate. The Islamic Muslim nation is a protector of the Christians who are sincere about Christianity. That means they're not going to overstep their bounds and try and do things in all capital letters in black ink. That's what that really means. That's what it really means. Islam, Empress Shasha.
So what I'm hearing is that this is a rebuttal to the parens patriae, that which would be the parens matriarch, or the equivalent.
Yes.
And so absolutely, I'm ready to vote right now, but I yield. Yes.
Yes. So right now, the vote is for unveiling all records, unsealing all government documents, laws, and court actions that this Congress has put on the record. Are we prepared to vote to unveil? It's actually called revelation, to unveil the documents. Are we prepared to vote on that at this time?
Indubitably, yes. I affirm. Yes, I watched your video when it came out. It's long, and I was like, yay, she did it. And I was like telling Justice me, we gotta vote on Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you, Empress Angel.
Yes, you did beautiful presentations on your your public notice there. It was just amazing. You look so beautiful.
Islam, thank you. Islam Justice Atiba.
Atiba Day, New York Territory, Manawatu, also affirmed. I agree.
Islam. Empress.
Thank you for the explanation. When I saw that video, I wasn't exactly sure what that meant, and now I do. And Chief Justice Cynthia Ann Bay affirmed Islam.
Thank you, Empress. Islam, Justice Ogunwale.
Chief Justice Ogunwale, Supreme Settlement Solutionnaire. I affirm, and I got your video, and I immediately posted it on the public record.
Thank you, Nobility.
Islam.
Anything to reach our brothers and sisters. Anything to reach them. Anything. Islam. Nobility.
Chief Justice Akil Fareed Bay, Georgia Territory. I vote yay. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility. Empress Shasa.
Islam.
Chief Justice Anthony Jada Singh, Exneca Territory. I affirm.
Islam.
Chief Justice Shasha Anbay, Jamaica Territory. I affirm. And I recognize, I saw your video, beautiful, of course, as always, but I also recognize and remember that this is also an occult move. This is a very spiritual move that must be done. And I affirm. I yield.
Yes. Islam. Justice Council.
This is Consul Khatib Bay, United Kingdom Territory. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Bay, Illinois Territory. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam. Arama Rocky Bay, Illinois Territory. I vote yay.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam. Chief
Justice
Harold Bay. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Nobility.
Okay. All right. Harold Muji Bay, Tennessee Territory. I affirm. Missed your video and also appreciate the visual aid. Islam.
Thank you, Nobility. Islam. Justice Nada, is that you? We can hear you, Justice Nada. I think you were saying something. Just a second. Let's try that. Justice Nada, are you there? Okay, we can barely hear you.
Islam. Chief Justice Sheriff Bay, Khalifa Territory. Yay.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam. Chief Justice Imani Saraha Bay, Colorado Territory. I affirm. I also missed the video, so I got to find it.
Islam. Could someone put the link to that? It's a 9-minute video. It's 9 minutes in the chat. Islam, Nobility.
Chief Justice Malika Kilbay, Illinois Territories. I affirm.
Islam, Justice Malik. Thank you.
Islam. Ronnie L. Bay, Florida Territory. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Nobility.
Islam, Chief Justice Anagel Mahatkabade, Kinland Territory. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. Islam. I will state this, that thank you for Islam, Empress Nabi. There you are.
Islam, Divine Minister, Chief Justice. Our goddess Nabi Bay Mahat El, Yay, Texas Territory.
Thank you, Divine Goddess Islam.
Islam.
Islam, this is Samora Sequoia from Florida Territory. I affirm.
Islam, thank you, Empress Amora. Is that Chief Justice Nadam saying that he cannot get his audio to work? We missed you too, Justice Nadam, just so that you're aware. Islam. And he affirms for the record. Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Rothschild El Shabazz Day. I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. Empress Minerva, is that you? We see you in the chat, Empress Minerva. Justice Nathan, I can hear you. It sounds like you're really far away, though. I hear you speaking. So, but we did get your vote in the chat as well. So we hereby, this Congress does hereby unveil and unseal, meaning that our seals stay on our documentation, but we remove any veils to make public all government documents, laws, court actions, and all other documentation placed on the record by the Moors. We hereby unveil them so that everyone can see them. So that everyone can see them. And it's a spell so that everyone can see them. Islam. And then you can do the study on the difference between sealed and unsealed documents. The difference is public access. Okay? And we spoke about that in our video. Justification for unsealing all the documents is for the betterment and the benefit of the public. Islam. Now, there's a quick sidebar, and the sidebar is, I'm just going to put this in the chat. It's a link to a video that we saw. And again, when we put these links in the chat, it's just videos that just affirm what we've been saying all along. We see the changes already happened. The system is already ours. We're just watching, as Empress Cynthia stated, she's, watching what's happening in what used to be the funny mirror, the downfall and the destruction of all of that. And that video, Islam Nobility.
For the sake of me knowing what the side the flags are on, can you raise your right hand so I can see what's your right? Okay, thank you. Gratitude.
That's good, Justice Ogunwale. We have to pay attention to that.
Yes, we do.
Islam. And the link to that video is just about, about what our Grand Sheikh Taj has been saying about the subject who is Donald Trump. That video is about him, the subject, just kind of like overseeing the fall and the dismantling of everything, because we stated it's over. It's not over, but it's finished. And he was chosen by us to ensure that our will and our word and our commands are honored regarding the dismantling of the previous era's enactment. The acting company, the theater, Islam. That is all of the matters that we have for today, for this particular Congress. if there be nothing further from this Congress, peace and grand Islam infrastructure.
I just wanted to share something from this territory. Well, first of all, Trump, that name, the Trump card in the tarot.
Yes.
It's not an accident. I mean, yes, we really did choose and place him, the fool, the Trump. But I wanted to share here. So they have the subjects put out that they have suspended mail to the U.S. as of Thursday, I think it was Thursday or Friday. So the Postal Corporation of Jamaica had their signs out, but that, and I saw that and I said, okay.
Well, you know what that means. That just means that all the addresses have to be properly stated. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, I know that. But I just thought that I will to share that on the platform because it's on at Congress, because it's more proof. Not that we need proof, but it's in our faces. You know, it's visible. It's unveiled. But so I will, even as they're enacting an election and all of those things. But the steps is what's very interesting that I find humorous. The exact same thing that went on with the U.S. You know, the movements, the clowns and the actors, and the even down to the sayings. It's quite something to see. But anyway, I wanted to share that because it again, affirmation.
So that just means that we have successfully completed the post office demonstration.
That's what I heard, saw, and knew and know. So I yield.
Islam, thank you for that great report. That is indeed a report.
A report. Yes.
Back to the right port. Yes.
Yep.
Islam. And Empress Shasha, we thank you for your work that you've done there, because that's how it happens. Islam.
You're welcome.
We honor you. You know, more now, and Empress Shasha, I'm going to have to get on you about that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't relate that it's the work that we've done that causes those things to happen.
No, that's
sometimes, you know.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, there are times where I you know, it flashes, the turban, as you state, fluffs up a little. And then there are times where no. I mean, because the focus on is on doing the work for the nation. The focus is not on me, you know, outside of the personal things that really come along, but really and truly. So I receive. Islam, I yield.
You and Justice Anthony there, Islam, just doing the work. Islam. We appreciate and honor both of you, and all the Moors there. Islam.
Islam, gratitude, Empress.
Islam.
Empress. I have a situation with my email. They claiming that I got 1.6 gigabytes over, and I went to delete certain things, double the amount. So it's obviously some type of scam. What would you suggest how I deal with that? What are my options?
I would suggest that you ignore what was being said about it being over and all of that. You know, ignore it. And if it was an email that you received saying that, you know, this is over or whatever, was it an email that you received?
Well, they actually post a red notice over and they stopped my emails. I'm not getting no more emails.
Okay, I would just go to your sent emails and remove some of the sent ones out. That way you can keep the ones that came in, and then just keep going, because they can't stop you from doing what you're doing. once you clear out enough emails of what you think is enough, and it's going to be a good amount, then just go about doing your business as you normally would. Go about doing your demonstrations and sending out things. It'll work.
They're unfreezing.
We've been through that a couple of times. No, here's the thing. When the system says that you're at a limit, then you clear out some, there won't be any room for the fraud to attach a fake something to that, because they try and attach it to the truth. The truth is you probably were out of space because you probably did have a lot of emails, but they always try and attach a fraudulent spell to that to make you think that they have some authority over what you're doing, when really all you need to do is clear out some of the emails. Just clear out a few more, because we've been there a few times. But
they're trying to get me to use fiat and pay for extra storage.
You don't ever have to do that. You know, just don't. Whenever there's a threat, ignore the threat and do the right thing about clearing out the emails. Because we've gotten that threat from 2 or 3 different places. That the cloud will say, "Hey, moorishe, you've got too many emails. We're going to have to stop this and that." They never could stop anything. And then Google would send something and say, "You've got 98% left," or whatever, and we just clear out when we can. We have 3 emails, and all 3 of them be full most of the time. We just clear it out so we can keep getting emails in. We don't listen to the threat part, though. We ignore that like the plague. It doesn't mean anything to us at all.
Absolutely.
But we do have to go in and clear.
Right.
And that's really the way it is with everything. Is you know, there's a threat that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. No, I just have to rebut that real quick and then keep on moving.
Right.
Yep. Islam. Yes, Islam. If that be all for this great and mighty Congress, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original and divine heirs. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Grand rising.
Islam. Peace and grand
Islam.
I say more.
Peace and energy. Enough respect also to Unniversalle.
Thank you. Thank you.
For all in humanity.
Thank you.
Most grateful, Unniversalle. Looking forward to the next phase.
Yes.
Gratitude. Islam.
Indeed. Islam.